So after writing the present level and going through those special considerations, you now have the information that provides a baseline for developing measurable annual goals. And those goals must be a reasonable expectation of what the team believes your child can accomplish by the ending date of the IEP. So when developing the goals, many times parents have different expectations than maybe school personnel. And what has happened over the years through several court cases involving free appropriate public education and what a district is required to provide is what we call the Cadillac versus Chevy. So when we develop goals for kids to progress in the general education curriculum, what the courts have said over the years is that the school districts are not required to maximize the potential of each child. However, the minimum benefit is not sufficient. It says there must be tangible gains more than trivial and provide meaningful benefit. So all of that information is really ambiguous. But basically what it says is as long as your child is progressing, that's sufficient. So when you're looking at the level of attainment for goals for your child, you always want to look at how it's going to help them progress in the general education curriculum. What you want your child to achieve may be higher than what the district is required to provide. There's also concern when developing these goals in school versus home environment. So oftentimes they exhibit the skill in school, but they don't exhibit the skill at home. And the purpose behind IDEA is not only to progress in the general education curriculum, but to have more productive kids when they leave the school system. It does vary across the nation as to whether or not courts require districts to provide instruction in order for those skills to be carried over in the home environment. But if you're looking under transition, you definitely want those skills to be generalized. But that is how the courts have viewed it over the years. Some say, yes, you do have to address home environment, and others don't. We just want you to have that information when you're thinking about what goals the child needs in order to progress in the general education curriculum and meet their post-secondary goals. So we recommend that you use SMART goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time limited. And I'm going to give some examples of each. So for specific, goals should address specific areas of concern. Ross will improve his money skills is not specific. Ross will increase his ability to count change with combinations up to $5 with 75% accuracy on 3 out of 5 data days is specific. So you want to make sure the goal is specific to address the skill that you want the child to work on. The goal should be measurable and worded so they could be measured using a standard or level of competency. So Nicholas will increase his reading comprehension by answering WH questions, has no standard or level of competency. Nicholas will increase his reading comprehension by answering WH questions with 75% accuracy on 4 out of 5 data days, has that level of competency. He needs to be accurate 75% of the time. You could also, if you wanted to, add a grade level on there, or you could add his instructional level to be more specific so that anybody picking up that goal knows exactly where that level is for that 75% accuracy. The goal should be attainable. So again, reasonably calculated to be attained by the expiration date of the IEP. So there's 2 examples here. One may not be high enough. It may not stretch the student enough. The other may be too high. And then the third one, Sam will increase his ability to independently initiate conversations with peers and adults with 80% accuracy on 3 out of 5 data days may be most reasonable. What I see most often when I'm looking at attainable goals is on behavior goals. And oftentimes I see goals written that Johnny will follow staff directives 100% of the time, or Johnny will refrain from using aggression when frustrated 100% of the time. If Johnny is not following staff directives, if he's only following them 20% of the time, 100% of the time may not be attainable in that IEP year. Or if he's using aggression 50% of the time, then 100% of the time to refrain from aggression may not be attainable. So you kind of want to look at what's reasonable. You need to look at the interventions that are being provided and past history to determine what you believe is reasonable to be attainable. Goals should also be relevant and address the concerns from the IEP team and the evaluation results. So in this example, Jeffrey will choose the correct operation to solve two-digit addition and subtraction word problems. Is addressing that Jeffrey probably scored very low in addition and subtraction problems on his evaluation results. But the reason that he scored low, was it because he did not choose the correct operation, or was it because he had difficulty solving two-digit addition and subtraction problems with regrouping? So you want to make sure it's relevant to the skills in the evaluation results and addresses the reason why he was not achieving high in that area. Goals should also be time limited. So not just to be accomplished by the ending period of that IEP, but also to be mastered over a period of time. So almost anything can be achieved by chance, and you want to make sure that your child is truly gaining that skill, and that just because your child exhibited that skill once does not mean that that skill is mastered. So when we make our goals time limited, it helps show that the child has attained that skill over a period of time and retained that skill or mastered that skill. So Megan will increase her ability to use appropriate verbal responses 60% of the time. She may have accomplished that for 1 week, but that doesn't show that she mastered that skill. But if she shows that she's done that for 4 out of 5 data days, and those data days are taken over a period of time, you can also use 3 out of 4 quarters or something like that, and that shows that they've mastered that skill over a period of time. So how do you know if your child is making progress towards his or her goal? Under each goal, there's a reporting section that includes a description of how progress will be measured. So whether or not they'll use work samples or they'll take data. It also states when the progress on those goals is going to be reported to parents. Those are typically reported and provided the same time as report cards. Make sure that you are getting your progress on goal reports. This is what you want to use in order to know that your child is making that progress and whether or not the interventions and supports are working and whether or not you need to revisit any part of the IEP.